It Star Trek Sunday, yuck mouth. So sit back, relax. I got you covered. This time we're gonna do it with Benjamin Sisko.
This time we're digging up information on Captain Benjamin Sisko, the commander of Deep Space Nine, hero of the Dominion War, emissary of the Prophets, and puncher of cues. That's a lot of titles for one man and a wide array of responsibilities to cover, of varying demands. As usual, this video draws from Memory Alpha primarily, but includes some Memory Beta content where applicable, and occasional events where context is lacking have been amended to fit continuity where justifiable. Born in New Orleans, Earth 2332, Benjamin Lafayette Sisko was the son of Joseph and Sarah, and their only child. Joseph Sisko ran a restaurant, while Sarah was in fact under the influence of a non-corporeal being later identified as a prophet or wormhole alien. A year after Benjamin's birth, the prophet left Sarah and she left the family. Joseph Sisko remarried and fathered a daughter, Judith, and two brothers, Samuel and Aaron. During his childhood, Sisko worked in the kitchen and often learned the piano. These two interests he would rediscover later in his life. In 2350, he applied to Starfleet Academy and was accepted. Here he took the path of engineering, showing notable aptitude for ship design. He made friends with fellow student Calvin Hudson and took a recreational interest in history and baseball. He also showed a talent for combat and earned the nickname Deadeye on the phaser rifle targeting range, performing trick shots, a fact he would often embellish in his youth. He also captained the wrestling team in 2351. A knock to his pride came, however, when he challenged the Vulcan student Solok to a match and was bested easily. In 2353, he was assigned to Peleus Station as part of his training under the rank of ensign. During this assignment, he established a long-time mentorship and friendship with noted Trill ambassador Curzon Dax. Another assignment later that year saw him visit the fledgling Federation embassy on Romulus. His final posting before graduation was on the Excelsior-class USS Livingston NCC 34099. He graduated from the Academy in 2354 and met Jennifer DeWitt on leave before his final official posting, who he would later marry. His first posting was to the Lunar Colony, New Berlin, where he was assigned to operations as an ensign. A year later, Jennifer gave birth on Earth to Jake Sisko, and Benjamin was promoted to lieutenant. Not for having a kid, that doesn't get you a promotion. During the short-lived Zenkethi War, Sisko was assigned to the USS Okinawa NCC 13958, another Excelsior class, as an engineer, after being rescued from Renaga alongside fellow officers Lieutenant Tuvok and Dr. Salar. Shortly after this, he was promoted to Lieutenant Commander and made the XO of the Okinawa by Captain James Layton, which included a reassignment to the Command Division. In 2366, he transferred to the USS Saratoga, NCC 31911, as the first officer, when its former senior staff, including Captain Marta Jedlicka, were reassigned. Sisko's family also transferred with him. In 2367, the Battle of Wolf 359 occurred, and the Saratoga was one of the 40 vessels mobilized to deflect a Borg incursion headed by Locutus of Borg, the assimilated form of Captain Jean-Luc Picard. The resulting conflict saw the destruction of 39 of the starships, including the Saratoga. Sisko escaped with his son Jake, but Jennifer was lost when the ship was destroyed. For a long time after this, he understandably hated the Borg and blamed Picard. Starfleet reassigned Sisko back to the Sol system, and his engineering background, command experience, and, let's face it, personal motivations, made him the perfect candidate to head up a new Starfleet project to create Escort-class combat vessels, starting with the Defiant. He was assigned to head the project at Utopia Planitia, which saw the production of a single prototype in 2368. During field tests, the vessel proved overpowered for its size, and the project was postponed, possibly in favour of the more conservative Sabre class. In 2369, he began to consider resignation from Starfleet in favour of building orbital habitats. However, James Layton, now an admiral, nominated him for the position of Commander of Deep Space Nine, which he accepted. The orders were relayed, tensely, by Captain Picard. along with a promotion to commander. This posting was to aid Bajor in rebuilding after the withdrawal of the Cardassians, and to help them prepare for a Federation membership. Shortly after his assignment began, he was named Emissary of the Prophets by Kaio Parker, a religious figure in Bajoran culture, riddled with prophecies and expectations, a fact that made him uncomfortable. He, alongside Lieutenant Jadzia Dax, discovered the Bajoran wormhole and ordered DS9 to shift position to claim it for Bajor. They also made first contact with the wormhole aliens, who the Bajorans identified as the Prophets. This seemed to match ancient Bajoran scripture and cemented Sisko's place as an iconic religious figurehead of their culture. He soon began to assist in transforming Deep Space Nine into a hub of trade and commerce, which benefited Bajor and granted many species access to the unexplored Gamma Quadrant through the wormhole. In 2370, the official ending of the Cardassian border wars occurred, and several colonies were signed over to the Cardassians. This led to the formation of the Marquis, its members including his former friend Cal Hudson. Also in 2370, first contact with the Dominion is established. Not long after, Commander Sisko convinces Starfleet to reinstate the mothballed prototype USS Defiant, NX 74205, as a permanent defense for DS9. He is assigned as its commanding officer. During a temporal incident, he assumed the identity of Gabriel Bell to maintain the continuity of the timeline of 2024. Sisko was promoted to captain in 2371. Sisko was temporarily reassigned as Starfleet Head of Security by Admiral Layton to help expose Dominion changelings in Starfleet. However, this position was relinquished, and it became clear that Layton was attempting to reform Starfleet into a more military structure and enforce harsher policing of its civilian population. Later in 2372, he was also betrayed by Michael Eddington, who joined the Marquis, and then Cassidy Yates, a woman who he was becoming romantically involved with, though to a lesser extent. In order to capture Michael Eddington, in 2373, Sisko poisons the atmosphere of the planet Solosis 3, forcing the idealistic Marquis to give himself up. Later that year, Sisko is assigned to an undercover mission in Klingon territory to expose a changeling infiltrator. In 2373, the Second Battle of DS9 occurs, with Sisko evacuating Starfleet personnel from the station at the opening hours of the Dominion War. He fought numerous battles from the bridge of the USS Defiant until in 2374 he was assigned to be the adjutant to Vice Admiral William Ross on Starbase 375. From here he acted as a tactician for Federation offences against the Dominion. He spearheaded Operation Return, the assault to retake DS9 and the Bajor sector from Dominion control. Then used his position as emissary to convince the Prophets to deny the Dominion reinforcements access to the wormhole. Towards the end of 2374, the First Battle of Chintoka occurred with an Allied victory. However, the Bajoran wormhole collapsed, and Lieutenant Jadzia Dax was murdered by power wraith-possessed Dukat. Sisko was deeply affected by this, having grown accustomed to the role of emissary and the loss of a close friend. He was granted official leave when he returned to New Orleans. In 2375, 3 months into his leave, he embarks on a self-imposed mission to Tyre to locate the orb of the emissary and the prophet within. This prophet was the one which had possessed Sarah in order to conceive Benjamin to begin with, revealing to him his predestined nature as emissary. The release of this prophet restored the wormhole, and Sisko returns to Starfleet. The Second Battle of Chintoka occurs 5 months later, during which the USS Defiant is destroyed by Breen forces. The USS Sao Paulo, NCC 75633, is rechristened the USS Defiant and reassigned to Captain Sisko. Sisko goes on to lead the assault on Cardassia, alongside Admiral Ross and Chancellor Martok. This victory is soon followed by the surrender of the Dominion Alpha Quadrant forces to the Federation, and the Treaty of Bajor being signed on Deep Space Nine. However, Captain Benjamin Sisko departs for the fire caves on Bajor, but never re-emerges. He is currently listed as MIA. Cassidy Yates has stated that she had a prophet-induced vision of Benjamin Sisko, who claimed the prophets had saved his life and that he would return eventually. This concludes the current timeline for Benjamin Sisko.
That's the end of Benjamin Sisko. I think he was the best captain. I like Kirk. I like Picard. I like Janeway, Captain Janeway. I'm sorry. Captain Sulu. There's some others. Excuse me, but I like Benjamin Sisko because, like Kirk, he's a fighter, and if it wasn't for Captain Sisko's leadership, they wouldn't have won the Dominican War. So, yeah. If you like the audio, you like some of my videos, please subscribe and hit your boy up. This is Yoke Mouth, Triple OG. Peace out.